Buenos dias and good morning. Sorry about the little bit of technical issues yesterday. This is Don. The message is from the heart of Don to you. And boy, this baby here, this one here, has been a tough slugfest for me figuring this puppy out. Boy, oh boy, I was like inside the Matrix. And talk about a Matrix, yeah, that was like Neo and Agent Smith, I tell you. And what it is the ego, and how it does everything it possibly can to keep you sedated, keep you from being aware, of who you are. Yeah. And I couldn't figure it out. And the more profound my results have become, the more instant they have happened, the less people were taking my program. I couldn't figure it out. Okay, is it the marketing? Like, what are we doing? What are we trying to do? What are we saying? Are we saying this? Are we doing that? And it just kept going on and on and on and on. And it's like, what is happening here? Like right now, I think it's 16 potential clients. 16. 7 of them have cancer. I've only been able to talk to one of them. Just to talk to one of them. Not to take it, but to talk to one. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, the tricks of the ego for it to stay alive. And you need to know one thing. Here's its rule. I'm going to do everything I can to make you believe I'm protecting you. At the same time, I'm finding multiple ways of destroying you and killing you. That's right. That's the ego. What is the ego? Well, it's who we're not. That's what it is. And it's full of externally referenced systems. You know, I figured it was like people are signing up for programs that they've taken over and over that don't work, and they're doing more of them. The reason they don't take this one is because it does. And the ego knows that. So what it does is this. Is whatever your threshold is of being pissed off or angry or upset or change your mind or whatever, it will bump up to about, 90%, 98% of that. So that you don't notice. You're still lulled into a sleep. You're lulled into an unknown. Like it has a myriad of ways to keep you in a trance state. Whether that's being very successful and all of the wonderful things you're doing and chasing money and counting your houses and adoring your children and your puppies and your cats and all of those, or the opposite with all these terminal illnesses, or the COVID. Yes, the COVID has been a blanket of darkness, a blanket of fear. And so it's externally referenced, it's based on fear, and it's who you're not. And its goal, its job, is to take you down. Yeah, seriously. And the reason being is because it's who you're not, and it doesn't want you to be who you are. It doesn't want you to be in your light. And it definitely doesn't want to happen overnight. And that's why there's not 5,000 or 10,000 people knocking on my door wanting this program. Because their ego is making the decision, not their divinity. And even when the divinity does make it, it gets into the first step and then it tries to not call back or make these excuses. It's amazing how trivial they can be. It's like, it's one person, it's like, it took me a week to talk to them, and they probably had 20 reasons or excuses why they couldn't do it earlier. I just talked to someone yesterday that's cancer. Okay? Not even talk to her. Just texting back and forth. She changed her date to see me 3 times already. Just yesterday afternoon. That's the ego at its finest. Yes. So it either tries to stop you from taking it, and if you're really forceful, if you're really powerful, if you really stand in your power and take it, then it will do everything it can to undo it, and the results, and I'm talking staggering results. I'm talking about a lady that her whole body was covered with a rash. Her whole body. And she had it for about 5 years, that bad. She heard about me. She took my program and just online, just a Zoom call. And within 24 hours, 50% of it was gone. And within 48 hours, it was all gone. And she stopped talking to me. That was it. Yeah. And it come back. And it'll use everything and anything, like your spouse being uncomfortable with it, or the changes, or whatever. And I used to think it was the financial piece. Oh, it's just too much. I can't afford it. And I had one guy, his wife, he spent $100,000 US, sent her to the States for her addiction. Okay, she was gone for 3 months from her 2 children that were 10 and 12. She's been back. She got drunk on the plane, never even made it home for $100,000 US. I met her and her husband and the 2 children, okay, in their home. Told them what they could have. And he made up a million excuses why not to take it. Yep. And she's still using it. Isn't that amazing? With the track record I have, the guy that spent 5 addictions gone in one day. I golfed with him a year and a half later, still no addictions. You would think everybody in a 12-step program would be lined up for this, but no. Because in AA, in the 12-step programs, the ego is just, it's so filled in 12-step programs, because it's got everybody convinced they're doing the steps and they're doing this and they're doing that. But none of it's getting to be in their light. Hardly ever meet anyone there. It's one of the most dysfunctional systems out there right now, because it's not being used the way it's meant. And the more someone has a good experience in one of those, the more the ego tries to stop them from taking something that will be even that much more powerful, that much more effective. Yeah, it's crazy. I never even realized that that's what I was battling all this time. The ego, whether it's the individual, whether it was my own first, whether it was the individual or it's the collective. And it is tricky, and I'm telling you, it doesn't play fair. It does not play fair, even though you created it. Yes, you created it in an instant. You created it almost exclusively before the age of reason. Yes, and it's who you're not. It's fear-based. It's externally referenced, and it doesn't play fair. Because it's like the 2-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. Yep. 2-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. I want my way. You created me and I want to stay alive. And even though it's like a fog or a mist or a cloud, it still has this way of influencing, because it's what it's done. It's used your own intellect and your own creativity to either lull you to sleep or to attack you if you go towards your light, because it's darkness. And what happens to darkness when it's around light? It vanishes. Yeah. And so there's a tug of war. Look out into the world. Well, it's happening inside of you. And unfortunately, for now, at least today, the more powerful this I am divinity has become, and And the more instant the results, the less people are wanting to take it. It just shocked me. It absolutely shocked me when I figured this out. Thinking that I was doing something wrong with the marketing or whatever, like I said earlier. So, anyway, I'm trusting that this video will wake you, shock you, wake you out of your sleep. What? What's this guy talking about? What's this guy talking about? Why would I be like cattle going to slaughter and going to this and going to that? That hasn't worked, but I'm doing more of not working. When there's an answer. And there is an answer. There is an answer for you. But you have to use your free will in the favor of your divinity, not in the favor of the ego that you manifested and created. So, I'm inviting you to wake up. I really am. And see what you can have. So I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm going to show you one thing. I'm going to tell you what you're missing. Yeah. I'm going to show you what you, the listener, is missing. That you're saying no to. Okay? That's what I'm going to do right now. I want you to think of the most powerful moment. The most powerful, beautiful, divine moment you ever had. Not getting a trophy and not getting an award and not passing an exam or not falling in love. No. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about for you moms and even dads, holding that precious first child or the second child or the third child or all your children. That first time. And you're holding that beautiful miracle in your hands. And your heart was the size of the universe. And your worth and your value was equally the size of the universe. And all of the chaos and all of the drama and all of the pain and all of the given birthness and all of that was forgotten. Was completely forgotten. And you were in this divine bubble of pure light. I am telling you now you listen and listen carefully. That is you. You're meant to be in that state 24/7. And you don't have to be given birth every day for it to happen. You only need to have it happen once to extract that coding of you and your divinity so that you can live in it. And that's what you're called to do. And do not let that ego convince you otherwise. Have a magnificent, marvelous, spectacular, bright day as this sun shines on your face and in your ears and in your knowing and in your heart. To know that you deserve to be in your light today. I am Don. And I am here to bring you a message that you are magnificently beautiful and you are divine.